Hey everyone, so let's begin with a trade recap. So last week we got this play right here. I posted in the room, it was IWM just before Powell. So it was a short setup, it ended up doing 236%. So I thought that we should start this video just explaining why and the reasoning of why I took that trade. So we can see this is IWM use 2000. This is basically an index. It tracks what the futures would look like. If you took a look at IWM, this looks a bit different. And it has more data. And in the end, I've always said that the more data you have, the best results you get. So looking at this, we have IWM. It was creating sort of an ascending triangle right here. We can see how many touches they had at that trend line. All of this. So from a risk reward, going into Powell, yeah, it's risky, but we know, I think this was the candle right here. It wasn't looking like price was gonna push. So we could set a risk reward trade, something like this for the short was okay. But the reason I also took this was because we were overextended and flow was actually looking not good. Calls were selling off, puts were rising, and we were also getting so every single pop that we had last week was getting sold off. So that was a clear sign of accumulation, and it was just giving me a red flag, right? So let's look right here what we had. I'll show you guys why this red box and where it comes from. So if we look to the left right here, this area, this is a bearish imbalance right here. Why? Because you have a candle that opened, a candle that moved down, and then this one didn't wick into this prior here. So you have this area, this is an imbalance. So if we draw a box right there, this is the pattern for imbalances. And let's see to the right how it looked. So you can see that price respects it and likes to hang around that area. But in order for me to invalidate that imbalance, you need two things: either a close above that it has, but it also has to reach above the candle that created that imbalance. So it would be this one right here. This one. If we look here, we never close above it. So this is when I started alerting for the short. It was at 12:58 on July 30. So July 30 right here. Yep. One. Yeah, two. Yeah, so here, you see, so I was looking at this area, all of these rejections. It's at a bearish imbalance, and we also had created another one right here. Here, so we have one right here, and we also had another one right here. So this was a newly formed 4-hour imbalance to the downside. And you can see that price came here 2 times and it never closed above this candle. So first you created that imbalance, you wick into, you came down, then you wick into again, and then we had that sharp sell-off, right? So having already talked about that, let's see how indexes are looking for the following week. So let's start with the Russell, since we're already looking at it right now. Let's look at it from the weekly perspective. Let's start this indicator that I have right here. Okay, the Russell. So during Friday, you guys know I was busy, but I was still alerting. So I said that the best place to load IWM was right here, this area. And I'll explain why. Let me see. Give me 1 sec, guys. Yeah. So here it is. IWM bounce zone, this area. Here. So I think we're right here. I think that in the indexes are right here. I'll explain why. But let's continue with this. So this is the weekly range. This is your last weekly low, and you hadn't created any low yet. So during this price run, we created this imbalance right here, bullish imbalance to the upside. So from a risk reward perspective, you want to long imbalances that are below the 0.5. Just something that we do. I'll explain why later. But If we look what was happening on Friday, we had this low right here that price wants to take out. So we draw the line where it is, and then we also have these lows right here. So this area. So when I talk about lows, it's just a low is basically a red candle followed by a green candle, and a high is a green candle followed by a red candle. So this is a high, it's a high, it's a low. So you want to for price to invalidate those highs and lows, it has to close a body close above or below. So here, this area right here, all of these wicks, this is a liquidity area. So price tests it and then pushes back up. So here, 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 and here. That's an imbalance right here. So I like to draw the pink line just to see where price tends to actually go or attack those pink lines. So here, if we look at where I said that that the best place to long the Russell was actually here, the 0.618, 0.65 from the weekly range. So this was the last weekly low to the high. Let me draw it again so you guys know where it is. Yeah, so low, high. So I had a run, come back to the imbalance, 0.618. And then if you long that imbalance, yeah, you had a heart attack here. But let's say you long this one, 0.65, you had a $2 move, 2.5, which in contracts is a lot. It's a 1.17 on indexes. So what do I expect? We already took this low on the Russell, but if we look at the SPY, this is the US 500. Okay, so let's see. Let's fix this problem here. Okay. So we know that the Russell already hit the 0.5 and it's in a support area. But what about SPY? This is a low right here. So we use the pink line. But where did the run up start? So it was right here. So this is where I would take my fib to this one. There's an imbalance right here, but price in the US 500, the SPY, still hasn't weighed below 5. So for me to long, I want to long inside that 0.5 below it. I would want to come below, maybe test the 0.618 before any move higher. Let's see what that would be if we take this SPY, for example. Yeah. So that area would be 609, 608, and below 615. So anything below 615, how I would trade it, I would draw the box right here. Draw the box, the rectangle. So you have one right here, and then you have one right here. So I'm interested in this one. I want to long inside that area. So how I would trade it is I would go into the 15-minute chart and see how price starts reacting inside that area. And then if you have like on a 30-minute or a 1-hour chart, you start getting candles that wick below but never close. So a candle will be like something like this, and then it's a hammer. And the next candle is something like this, but the next candle, but they keep closing above. So they can wick all the way here, but they keep closing above this box. Then that's a trade that I would be looking to get in from a risk reward perspective. Let me see if I have some example right here where I would show you guys. I think it was so. So this right here, this was a bullish imbalance to the upside. Let's see how price was reacting. Yeah, so you see here, this is what I'm talking about. So in the 15-minute, price closed below. It wicked below, but it pushed back. Yeah, it closed below here. And the next candle, you had like a big run up. So I like to trade high time frames. I don't do 0 DTE here. I only do 3 days out or 1 day out because it gives you a better risk reward. So yeah, the SPY, I want to take this low right here, see how price reacts before any move higher. So something like this. But overall, I don't think we fall below 600 this time. I think it's an overreaction. Yep. So wait for this in the SPY. See how it reacts. Let's go to the NQ. So take out strings. Yep. First drop declines. Here, run up. So NQ, same setup. What I want to see from NQ. So this green box is where I would look. I would look for longs. So NQ and SPY still don't have that 0.5 retracement, but IWM has it. So I would say that we still need 2 or 3 more days of downside before I see any reversal from stocks. So I would expect something like this, see how price reacts, then you get like the big green candle, which creates an imbalance, and then you want to long inside of it. As I was saying, guys, I have the UVXYs, I alerted a while ago, and I also am long in gold. So if we take a look from the VIX right now, let's see something, let's see VIX, yeah, VIX. So we have this massive green candle right now, which also invalidated this weekly imbalance. So I would expect that weekly imbalance to act as support from now onwards because this is a impairs imbalance. So this area, I would look to long this area, this side, for the VIX. So maybe we get like a bull trap and price comes back down, test it before going higher and attacking this high right here. But we know that during August, VIX like to shoot up. So I would not be expecting, I would be expecting some volatility here. Also, you see, so as VIX starts moving, it usually creates like this gap up, and then you get like that massive green candle before any capitulation. So you see a green candle followed by more green candles before a big run up, big candle before a massive move up, and then capitulation every time, right? I think this was the first one. We already know from the SPY and the QQQ look that they're still not in their 0.5 zone, so we can still expect some red in the market, which means that the VIX can still be going up. So for resistance or capitulation, I would be looking at this area right here, this one right here, and ultimately this one. Those will be my targets for the VIX. And I would load inside this green area. Or, yep, here. Anything below the point. 18 on the VIX. We also know that that 20 area on the VIX is very important because every time we get above it, we can see what happens. That's when it usually starts to run up higher. So VIX above 20 is a red sign. See? Look right here. Every single time it gets high or above 20, it gets those moves. So yeah, that's the VIX. So I want to talk about some plays that I was looking at. I alerted this one, and I've been also keeping a close eye on it. It's MP. Let's see. It's materials. Let me show why. So this is the MP chart. One important note of this chart is that the Pentagon, I think it was, or someone in the government, I think it was the Pentagon. Let me double check right here. Yeah, so this is the news. The Pentagon to become the largest shareholder in rare earth miner MP Materials and shares surged 50%. Then Apple also took a stake on them. So this is the current look. This is an ascending triangle. We also had that look on gold on Friday, which we also took a trade on. Right here, take a look, right here. Gold, I send the look. I think this is the look right here. Wait for volume to come back, and then gold breakout. So this is the look on MP. I think that this chart, I think that materials will be very bullish for this year, especially because you never have the Pentagon taking stake on any company until now. Also, you have, I think Microsoft during their earnings call, they said that they wanted to invest in another materials company, just like Apple did. So materials are getting a lot of media attention. So I said that I want this chart, I want this move to 100. I'm still accumulating some shares. I got faked out last week, so I picked up about like 30 shares at 63, 64. It was over here. But because I thought that the look was something like this, let's see here in the trend line. So I thought that we were breaking down. I sold because in the hourly chart it didn't look good. So you break down, you back tested it, and then you had the red candle down. I sold, but then I recharted this, and I think it's still valid. Especially also because Microsoft during their earnings call said that they wanted to invest in another company like this. So I think you can still take some shares on this. I want to get that hood lookout. So let's see how hood was looking. Yeah, you see, so and move down, and then yeah, it's just not stopping above last all-time high. Also, SoFi, it's just they have this type of look that they just keep going out up. It doesn't matter. Like they go up every day, like this, like Roblox, too. So I think that's something that MP will do. It's consolidating above prior all-time high, and now you have also big companies taking stake on it. Also, if you look at the volume, it's declining, but then you had this volume spike right here. That was this candle. This is an expensive stock, and it has already moved up a lot. So I would recommend if you're trying to get in, just play it safe, some shares. Also, you've got that TMC that is also a sympathy play. We draw the pink line. We know that we want body close below, so it didn't close below. I would say it's just consolidating before it gets that other massive move up. Also, it has a golden cross. Look at all-time highs right here. So we could say that we could just target that prior all-time high, and if we get it in, it's a 100% move if we get it. Let's see USAR. This is another materials company. Look at the volume. So every single move up it has comes with volume. Look at this. Look at this. Here, this three. So you're getting volume on the lows. That's a good sign. So we just break out. Target that all-time high before targeting higher. Materials. That would be a 60% move. One thing to note is that the options are expensive on materials just because of the IV. So I would be careful with buying options. If you want to buy options, maybe buy some leaps or closer in the money. But I still think they look good. And I still think that this sector can still go up. Let's talk about another sector that's lagging. So healthcare. Let's look at UNC, I think it is, UNH. UNH. So I posted on X that the pain trade was down when people got this move up. There was a lot of people celebrating that they got the dip and all. But if we look at the weekly chart, that was just a liquidity sweep. So this right here was the candle that created this imbalance, this area. So price came down, came back up, wicked into the imbalance, and then came down before taking this last low, right? So I posted here that the pain trade was down. I think I can pull that up. Let me check. Give me 1 second. Yes. No, I can't. But yeah, I said that pain trade was down. Now we took this prior low. Price made a new lower low. So in this, I would just it's gonna give us a good opportunity to buy. But I wouldn't be rushing to get in just yet. I don't think it's going to 94. But let's see if we can. Maybe this one right here, this low. Yep. UNH. So for UNH, I would be expecting. So now we're below this point 0.5 from this run up right here. I would be looking to get in once we get a daily imbalance form um, within this area. So let's see where the imbalances are. So we have one right here. That was mitigated already. We have this one right here. We have this one right here. Let's see from the monthly. Yeah, we have this one too, and we also have this one. You see that long wick, but it closed above. That means still valid. But we want it below the point 0.5. So here. So this area is it should be a loading zone if we get an imbalance to the upside, and then we could long the inside of that imbalance. Or I would just be expecting price to come lower and test all of these lows right here, or this low right here in this imbalance before I move up. So I think that we can get a better discount if we just wait to like 210, 220, and anything below 220, that's where I'd be taking a closer look and see if we can long this. But yeah, it will be ready, and when it's ready, we can get like a massive move up on a dividend paying candle, a dividend paying stock. We are 150%. But yeah, let's look at the other ones. So CNC, this one still has room to go down, but I'm loading on this stock mainly because I think that I heard a rumor that they were a good acquisition candidate. So it also took this area right here of lows. So I'd be willing to take another stab on it at like 23. If it comes to 23, this area, this wick right here. CNC, let's do NVO. Yeah. So NVO, it's taking this area right here, this lows. It's now below the point 0.5 inside imbalances. I heard some news about them. Yeah. So they got a new FDA approval too. And this is how the 4 hour looks. You have a new hammer with a little bit of volume above this area right here. So I would wait to see once we create that first imbalance to the upside. That's where I would be trying to get in back again. This stock pays dividend too. So it's good for the long term. XLV, the healthcare sector, just looking pretty bad. Still lagging behind all of other sectors. So this is what I'm looking to buy. Stocks at discount. I don't want that shiny stuff like ASTS or Rocket Lab, Open. I like buying deep value stocks that pay dividend. Yeah, XLV. Let's look at the max. So Apple. This one is also lagging behind other names. We got this move here last time. Then it started flagging out, but it just takes so much time to move. At this point, they had a good earnings, but I would just wait for Apple to come back down, maybe into this imbalance right here. And this is where I would be trying to long Apple out 200 flat. So Apple, just wait 200. See this trend line right here. Look, we have confluence. One, two, three, four. We have an imbalance. We have a low, and we have a trend line. So we can target maybe something like this. 13, risking 1%, not bad. You can play on Apple, AAPU. It's to leverage. I like it. That's what I long. That's what I use to long Apple. Let's do Amazon. See, no imbalance created here. We had this ascending triangle look. too, which it broke out, kept going up. I don't know what happened with their earnings. But yeah, I would say just expect for price to get inside this imbalance and get into these lows before trying to get in. Yeah. Mm. Let's see the monthly. Oh, it's inside a bullish imbalance. So let's see. We have 27 days, so it can still go down before waking back up. But we know that some stocks still want to keep going down because of the indexes look. So I would just be patient on this. Looks a bit weak. Let's see this. Yeah, so this is a sell signal. So Nvidia has a bearish imbalance formed, but it's in discount now. So I would expect that Nvidia maybe does something like this, test that imbalance before maybe going lower. See how price reacts here. Take out maybe this imbalance. Oh, this is a nasty weekly candle to Gravestone. So maybe that's something like this before coming back up. Let's see. Yeah, so we have confidence here. Yep. So Nvidia, that's a Gravestone doji. It's not looking good for it. Maybe wait for a test and long 160. That's Google. Uh, Google's not looking that bad. I had this drawn already. Yeah. So for Google, maybe, yeah, look, all of these green candles, this was your low, you broke below. You have a new imbalance form to the downside. So maybe price can come back week into before going lower, and then we can get that push again to 200. It's also inside a bearish imbalance. So maybe we can come back down, test 184, because it's at 189 right now, before we get that push to new all-time highs. Meta, yeah, oof. Meta strong. This area right here should be treated as support. I would just keep a chart here and see how price reacts in this new imbalance that it formed. So 737, 726. This is a breaker imbalance, so it should provide some support. So you want to long below the 0.5. So maybe something like this. What else? Meta Tesla. Tesla's not looking good. New bearish imbalance formed on the daily. Have this bullish imbalance right here in this support area to the big line. Tesla maybe retest 294, 295, 289. Let's see how price reacts, and then we can try to long it again. So maybe we have something like this right here. Mhm. Maybe a panic. But yeah, I wouldn't long Tesla until it gets to 295, 287. Yeah, also death cross right here. Yeah, it's looking weak for Tesla. It's not looking good. So if it breaks down from 294, expect at least a test of this imbalance right here. 280 to 285 and 274. Let's continue with another one, Microsoft. Yeah, same look as Meta. Oh, not looking good. It needs to bounce right here. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It needs to bounce. If it starts losing and it starts coming back down, I would maybe expect a test of 500 flat before going higher, since that's where the discount area is. See Wolf. Yeah. So I have my pink lines here set. We have an imbalance on the weekly right here. Also liquidity area right here. So you see 548, you see how price came up to it and wicked before it came lower. This is also um, an area that price likes to reverse inside this imbalance, an inside bar. But you see how it's not pushing higher. We have this ascending triangle too, and price also is also inside this imbalance. So I don't want to lose this one, and I don't want to create a new bearish daily imbalance because that would mean that Wolf would come lower. Yeah, to maybe 438 if it creates it and it keeps going down. But I would also just see how price reacts in this area. So Wolf, let's see how price reacts at 450, 453. I would also want price to maybe just wick back up to 5 before it can lower. That way it doesn't create that imbalance. Intel, looks like a massive accumulation. I just don't like that their earnings was really bad. Look at the volume, just slashing through support. So at this point, I want to see how this area reacts and how 18 holds. So we can see that 18 has been a strong support level. This area right here, this area right here, this here. So I would see how 18 reacts. If it holds, I would try to long it. Maybe for a risk reward of something like this. And if it doesn't hold, then I would just wait for price to come to this lows, this area right here. But yeah, Intel's still weak. EME still can't get through that bearish imbalance that it created with that move down. It is just going lower. I would expect for it to come to 2190, 2153, and see how price reacts. Looks like you an inch. Yeah, like this. So I would expect. I just want to see how price reacts in that area for GME that week. It's also an imbalance too. That was formed on October. So let's see how price reacts, and then we'll assess our plan. SoFi range. I would long SoFi if it comes back to 18 to this area. Yeah. So head and shoulders. You need to break that area before seeing another move down. Until then, it can be a megaphone. But look how price reacted once it got to this imbalance right here. 20 pushed higher every single time it's getting there. So let's draw it. And BTS. I want to get a test. You see, so for price to keep going higher, it needs to close above 921, which it still hasn't been able to do. So I would just try to long it every time it comes to 611 or this pink area right here. So this is a breaker. that area. So $7 or 6.90 flat. They have earnings too on Monday, and their all-time high is at 11. So upside targets here and here and here. More, Apple D, wick to that pink area, imbalance before it came lower. Also wicked into this imbalance that it formed to earnings before a $1 move higher, 8%. I still like it. I would long anything below 11. I still think that this overall is gonna see higher prices, 19, 15, and 33. SG, it has earnings this week, so let's see how it reacts. But if market still continues to go down, this will also show weakness. Overall, I'm investing shares for the long run. I think this wants to probably move higher, attack all these prices right here, 45, 26, 16 again. But yeah, so that's all for this week. Let's see what we get next week, and then I'll post a video next week.